Hey everybody, just wanted to check in today and say hello to everyone. Talk about a few things maybe that I was battling to whether I should or shouldn't kind of thing. But today's message is going to be maybe somewhat somber, maybe somewhat uplifting with some positive, and the one I was kind of torn about. Maybe hopefully I'm going to end up doing it, and it's informative and people can learn from it because I think it backs up. The name of my journey is point the thumb, not the finger, and I try to live that with my kids and teach them that if I don't live it myself all the time. I'm trying to. But another mantra I have, and I've said in one of my previous videos, is you can't have a rational conversation with an irrational person. So I'll touch on that a little bit later. But before I do that, I want to recognize a few people. Um, if you haven't heard yet or haven't seen the link, a website, an actual website has been created for me, and it's pttjourney.com. And on there will be every link to Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, where you can like and follow. You can subscribe on YouTube, please. Um, Something else, Instagram, which I'm learning how to do. God, I'm awful. Uh, but anyway, it has a countdown to my departure, which is really neat and a lot of fun to see for my kids and everybody else, I guess. Anyway, this journey has been something that's been just morphing as it goes. It started off as something that was just an idea, and then it kind of took off in my mind a little bit more, and then we put it to fruition, and then it was, just a small thing, and then people have been so supportive and helping, and then, even though it's only local right now, not a lot of people know about it. There's been some news coverage, but it's been a little bit a real groundswell. But at the same time, for me personally, it's been interesting. I was like so many others, so caught up with living and surviving, the next pay period to pay bills and the next vacation or the next, what are we going to do this week, kind of thing. I didn't have a chance to really reflect and on the good, the bad, the indifferent, and so this has been sort of a journey for me already, and it's been I haven't even really got there yet, but. To that point, a couple of days ago, I'm human. You can tell by my videos, I wear my emotions on my sleeve. I tend to get emotional pretty easily. Um, but I was kind of overwhelmed a couple of days ago for a bit. But just talking to folks is so helpful. So I wanted to just call out a couple of people last night that spoke with me and just helped me kind of process things a little bit. So to Richard Hodgson, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me last night and share thoughts and feelings. And Harvey Erb, thank you as well. Your passion and your support and your belief was just astonishing. So, Harvey and I, we live in a relatively small town. We see each other from time to time. We don't really know each other that well, and frankly, I don't know that we've ever really spoken more than a few words to each other, other than hey, how you doing, and a kind gesture. And he saw me last night, and I guess through Facebook and friends, he's seen the journey, and he was just so for two men, especially, in our society, men are supposed to be so macho and not express feelings, and it wasn't any love fest, but he was just so supportive and encouraging and proud of what I'm doing, and grateful to kind of have to get to know me a little more than he did before. Just those 20 minutes of speaking with him really lifted my spirits a little bit, and made me realize as overwhelmed that I've been for a few days questioning some things. That there's a big adventure I'm going on, I guess I'll use the word. But he reconfirmed why I'm doing it. But so I wanted to send out thanks to those two gentlemen. And then I also want to send out some thanks to some complete strangers. And this is a story I was going to kind of really just not even bother to mention, because I don't think you guys really care sometimes about the minutia of my life. But at the same time, I think there's something to be learned from this. So yesterday afternoon, it was kind of a rainy, dreary day here in central Pennsylvania, and the kids are doing their thing, and I get a little tired sometimes if they rely too much on tablets or video games. So one of the things we do somewhat frequently is we'll go out and golf 9 holes. Gives me time with the kids, both of them in the cart. My daughter will take some pictures. Occasionally she'll putt. My son will, he's getting pretty good actually, but he'll get out there and rip the ball and have some fun with me. And what I'm really happy is he's just progressing, not as a player, but understanding the game and the rules and the respect it deserves and so forth. So Anyway, if you know golf, you'll get this story. If you don't know golf, the golf portion of the story really won't matter much. But so it was a rainy day, light rain. We're on the fifth hole at this golf course, and it's a par five. And my daughter gets out to take some pictures that maybe I'll share later on. And there's a group of 6 people on the course ahead of us. Now, if you know golf, you're supposed to only have a foursome out there, and there's they call a pace of play or respect, right? So, I'm in a rush and with the kids having fun. So I'm waiting. I hit the ball pretty far, so I'm waiting so I don't hit anybody. And finally after a few minutes in the rain, I get to hit the ball. My son hits, and we go up and we play a few balls. Now, this is where the story gets a little hairy. So now I'm waiting for these guys to hit their next shot, and apparently they're having some kind of intense competition, and there's 6 guys all over the ball, and I mean they're really taking it serious, and you can tell there's been some drinking, not by all of them, but you can tell some of the guys are having a good time, and I'm not here to judge that. So we're waiting, and my son, I tell him to go ahead and hit because he couldn't reach the green. The green was a high elevated green, so my son hits the ball, and if you see my hands here, there's another hole over here where is the 7th green, the 8th tee box, in our hole. So this group of gentlemen was over on the 7th green. These guys were up on our green, and my son couldn't hit anybody. He hits the ball and it rolls over to where they parked the carts. So that's where I thought the story ended. At that point in time, these guys are on the green. Now I'm over my ball about 120 yards out, and I'm waiting and waiting and waiting, and these guys are carrying on. And finally they putt out, and they're walking. There's a big hill, and they're probably 10, 15, maybe about 10 yards off the green. But where the hole was way in the back and 20 yards deep. So I hit the ball, and I probably hit the shot of my life, believe it or not. I leave a ball mark about 2 inches from the hole, and it rolls about 4 feet away. Nowhere near these guys whatsoever. So I hit my good shot, trying to keep the pace of play. I assume they're going to do the right thing and tell us to play through the next hole. So anyway, as I drive up to where now is a mass of about 12 carts, 6 carts, right? There are 3. The other group's 2, and ours. So there's 6 carts there to go park our carts, and somehow words start getting exchanged between the group coming off the green and the foursome that was coming across. And I don't need to get involved in other people's business. I got plenty of problems of my own, so I kind of just don't know what's going on. My son has already picked up his ball and walked up to the green, and I'm not sure if that's because somebody said, "Hey, go ahead and play through," or what. I don't even know. And but I see these 2 gentlemen literally starting to almost come to blows, poking fingers in each other's chest and so forth, and dropping some F-bombs and stuff like that. Well, mostly the drunk guy was. So I go up quickly, tap in my putt, and walk back. And at some point, now I hear him talking about the kid. And now I've got to get involved. And I said, did got someone have an issue with my son? And one of the guys says, no, everything's cool. And another guy now chirps up and says, "Yeah, you should have yelled 4." And I said, his ball wasn't anywhere near anybody. His ball was rolled up to your carts. And he says, "No, your ball." And I said, "I'm sorry?" And he says, "Your ball." Now here's where you've got a couple of things to understand, right? That I think you can learn from this situation. So there's 6 guys there, all of which are violating the basic courtesy of golf, but the guy wanted to come in. So I said, "Well, if you have an issue with me, why don't you come to me? Why are you fighting with those guys? And why is my son even involved?" And now my daughter's in the cart, who didn't get out of the cart, and is hearing all this cursing back and forth. And what I came to find out is that this drunk guy was upset that I hit a ball while they were walking off the green. Now again, if the ball was going near them, clearly I would yell the respectful 4. It was nowhere near them. But again, here's somebody that wants to start trouble, that wants to have something to say. Could have handled it 6 different ways. But the other folks tried to talk rational with him, but he wasn't in a rational mind. Whether it was his mind said he's 100% right, whether it was alcohol, whatever the reason. Nothing these other folks were going to say. So my first thing is to say to those 4 gentlemen, thank you guys, because I wasn't aware that you were standing up for my son. Okay? They thought he was screaming about my son, and they were standing up for my son, and almost came to blows with a complete stranger over this. So, again, in terms of doing the right thing, I appreciate that. I don't want anybody fighting or anything like that. It might not be as drastic as I'm making it sound, but then again, so I looked at the guy and I said, "Wait a minute, you're playing a 6-'em. You don't let any of us play through. You don't wave us up. You're looking over a 2-foot putt, 6 of you, not a tap in, not a gimme. and then I hit a ball nowhere near you, and you want to start barking about my son and I? Because I guess his quote was, "I don't care if it's the father or the son. Someone should have yelled for, damn it," or maybe a little bit worse than damn it. But so anyway, the lessons I kind of want to teach here, if I can teach anything, is had this guy just stopped for a second and breathed and pointed a thumb at himself and said, "What am I getting riled about? The ball really wasn't near me." People go looking for issues and problems and trouble, and then they find it, right? And I won't say that it hasn't happened. I haven't been that guy in the past on occasion, but if he pointed the thumb at himself at any one point and said, "Well, wait a minute, I just held this guy up in the rain for 20 minutes. We're playing well, we shouldn't be playing. No one's griping about that. No one's calling the course superintendent. These guys are defending a 10-year-old, which I shouldn't be dropping F-bombs and cursing in front of, even if I'm mad at their dad, I shouldn't be doing it in front of them out of respect for him." So, like I said, this just goes to show that the point the thumb mantra applies in a lot of situations, if it's applied, which in this case it wasn't. And then, of course, there's these other four gentlemen are looking at this from a rational approach and trying to tell them, "Hey, kids here, calm down." And of course, this guy is going to flex his beer muscles, his buddy's quotes, not mine, and so forth and so on. So anyway, just showing a couple of my mantras that I try to live by: point the thumb, not the finger, and you really can't have a rational conversation with an irrational person. So I tried to do the best thing. I just kind of grabbed my ball. We moved up to the next hole and skipped the course or whatever. So again, the story of that was hopefully to teach a bit of a lesson and go from there. I do want to talk about something else, though, that I'm running short on time, it looks like. So I think what I might do is I might cut this one short, no, not cut it short, but just cut it off, and come back with a second one for today as well, because there's a topic that really is kind of what had me in a funk a little bit those couple of days I was talking about, and I want to address it if I can. So, all right, I'll be back in just a few seconds, guys. Thanks.